He was building rockets by day and building a secret family by night. While his famous girlfriend was carrying his child, one of his own employees was carrying his child too. At the same time, under the same roof, on the same weekend. She didn't know. She was 3 rooms away. This isn't a soap opera plot. This is the real story of Elon Musk, the richest man alive, and the pregnancy secret that took his own partner more than a year to fully uncover. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly how it happened, who was involved, and how the truth finally came out. To find out more, let's dive into Empire Elegance. To understand this story, you need to know 2 names. The first is Grimes, the Canadian musician, real name Claire Boucher, who began dating Elon Musk in 2018 after the two bonded over a shared joke about artificial intelligence on Twitter. By 2020, they welcomed their first child together, a son they gave the now famous name XEA12. The second name is Siobhan Zilis. Zilis isn't a celebrity. She's an executive at Neuralink, Musk's brain-computer interface company. She joined Musk's orbit years earlier as a trusted operator, sharp, low profile, and deeply embedded in his business world. What almost nobody knew for a long time was that Zilis and Musk were also having children together, conceived through IVF, starting with twins born in November 2021. That's the same month Grimes was also expecting. Here's where the story gets almost impossible to believe. At the time the twins were born to Zilis, Grimes was pregnant with her and Musk's 3rd child, carried by a surrogate. The pregnancy was difficult, complicated enough that Grimes moved in to stay close to the surrogate and monitor the situation personally. According to Walter Isaacson's biography of Musk, Zilis was in a nearby room during that same period, pregnant with Musk's twins, and Grimes had no idea. She didn't know Zilis was there. She didn't know she was pregnant. She didn't know any of it. Musk, according to the same account, chose that Thanksgiving weekend to fly out west, leaving the overlapping family situations behind to deal with, in his words, the simpler problems of rocket engineering. Rockets were simpler than what was happening at home. The truth didn't come out all at once. It surfaced in pieces over roughly 2 years. When Grimes eventually learned the full picture, that Zilis had not only had twins with Musk, but was, by 2023, pregnant again with a 3rd child, she was reportedly furious. Multiple reports describe her as believing she and Musk were in an exclusive, committed relationship, working toward building their own family together. Finding out that Musk was simultaneously growing a family with someone from inside his own company was, by every account, a devastating discovery. By 2023, Grimes herself was pregnant with a 4th child with Musk, meaning that at points during this window, 2 women, one his long-term partner and one his employee, were pregnant with his children in overlapping timeframes, not once, but repeatedly. Grimes has spoken publicly in the years since about the strain this placed on her relationship with Musk and about custody battles that followed their eventual split. She has described trying to protect her children from public scrutiny while navigating a co-parenting relationship with one of the most watched men in the world. If this were an isolated incident, it might read as a private heartbreak that became public by accident. But it wasn't isolated. Zilis and Musk didn't stop at 3 children. In early 2025, Zilis announced the birth of a 4th child with Musk, a baby boy, sharing the news publicly herself on social media, timed around one of her other children's birthday. Around the same period, other stories began surfacing. A Wall Street Journal investigation reported that Musk had pursued relationships with employees at both Tesla and SpaceX, describing a workplace culture that reportedly left some women uncomfortable. A former SpaceX employee claimed Musk repeatedly asked her, directly, to have his children. The same reporting noted Musk's public comments about population decline and his belief that highly capable people, in particular, should be having more children, comments that, to critics, read less like a private philosophy and more like a talking point deployed inside his own companies. Separately, conservative commentator Ashley St. Clair revealed publicly that she had a child with Musk as well. A relationship she later said grew complicated once the pregnancy became real, and which reportedly led to a custody dispute between her and Musk. St. Clair has since spoken at length about how quickly the relationship shifted once she became pregnant, describing feeling isolated from the kind of traditional future she'd once pictured for herself. Then there's a case that almost fits the pattern, but doesn't quite. Katie Miller, a former Doge staffer who briefly worked under Musk, announced a pregnancy with her husband, White House official Stephen Miller, at the very end of 2025. Almost instantly, social media users resurfaced old rumors linking her and Musk romantically, despite there being no credible evidence connecting the two beyond her having once worked for him and having interviewed him for her podcast. It's worth including here for one reason. It shows how thoroughly Musk's actual documented history with employees has primed the public to assume the worst about any woman who has ever worked near him, fair or not. By 2025, credible reporting put the confirmed count at 14 children across at least 4 different women, some conceived through traditional relationships, others through surrogacy or IVF arrangements. Musk has been open, at times almost defiantly so, about his views on population decline, publicly stating that he sees having many children as something close to a moral project, given what he calls an underpopulation crisis. Whether you find that framing sincere or self-serving, it's the explanation he has given, on the record, more than once. So why does a story about a billionaire's family life deserve this much attention? Because it's not really a story about pregnancy timelines. It's a story about power, about what happens when the person holding all the leverage in a workplace is also making deeply personal decisions with people who work for him, and about how those decisions ripple out into the lives of the women involved, most of whom did not choose to become public figures the way Musk did. Siobhan Zilis has largely stayed out of the spotlight by choice, continuing her work at Neuralink while raising her children with Musk. Grimes has spoken more openly, particularly about custody and the emotional toll of learning the truth in stages rather than all at once. Ashley St. Clair has been the most publicly vocal, describing the relationship and its aftermath across interviews and social media. 3 very different women, 3 very different relationships to the same man, and all 3 navigating some version of the same reality. That being close to Elon Musk means potentially becoming a supporting character in a story that plays out in headlines, biographies, and social media threads, whether you asked for that or not. There's a pattern worth naming here, and it's bigger than any one relationship. Musk sits at the center of some of the most valuable, most scrutinized companies on Earth: Tesla, SpaceX, Neuralink, X. He has enormous influence not just over markets and technology, but over the day-to-day lives of the people who work closely with him. When the person holding that much institutional power is also the one initiating personal relationships with employees, the lines between professional trust and personal vulnerability get blurry fast. And the fallout doesn't land on him the way it lands on everyone else involved. That's really what this story is about. Not the shock value of overlapping pregnancies, but what those overlaps reveal: a pattern of compartmentalization at the highest possible level, where entire family relationships could exist in parallel, hidden from each other for months or years, because the person at the center of it all had the power, the resources, and the reach to keep it that way, at least for a while. Eventually, though, none of it stayed hidden. Biographies got written, reporters got sources, the women involved started telling their own versions of events, and piece by piece, the full picture came together, not because Musk chose to reveal it, but because it became too big and involved too many people to stay contained. And that's really the lesson underneath all of it. Musk has spent years cultivating an image of total control over rockets, over markets, over the future itself. But this part of his life shows the limits of that control. You can manage a launch schedule down to the second. You can't manage 4 women, 14 children, and years of overlapping secrets the same way, no matter how much money or power you have. Eventually, people talk. Eventually, timelines get compared. Eventually, the truth finds its way out, even for the richest man on Earth. At the center of the richest empire on the planet was a secret that even the people living inside it couldn't fully see, until it was too late to stay a secret at all. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like and subscribe to Empire Elegance, and hit the notification bell for more powerful stories about the lives and secrets of the world's most famous people. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.